Hi guys, welcome to XTV. I'm Claudia, I'm your head of news, and today I'm going to be in conversation with Exeter University Acting Society. So I'm here today with Lucy, Bella, and Ferdia.
Hello.
Hi.
So if each of you could go around and say, what's your position on Exeter University's Acting Society?
Okay, I'm Lucy. I'm the president of Acting Society.
I'm Ferdia. I am the social sec.
I'm Bella. I'm the welfare officer.
Thank you. So what I want to talk about today, so Exeter University Acting Society, it's a fairly recent guild-affiliated society, but what was the original motivation to start it? What was the idea behind it?
So it was an idea that was coined in discussion with the other theatre at Exeter presidents in the Christmas of 2019, after we'd had a very successful auditions week from the start of Freshers Week in 2019. Over 300 people auditioned for each of the society's shows, but that meant that over 200 people didn't actually get into the shows that they'd auditioned for. And we thought that that's not really something that we want to encourage at Theatre Exeter. We want to create a space for people to be able to act outside of the shows as well, because if that's 200 people that want to act, then there's no space for them to do that externally to a show. So it was myself and Fraser Brown, who can't be here today, who coined the idea that we wanted to create this kind of a space, an open space for people to be able to develop their acting skills and practice acting in a safe environment. So that was at the start of, that kind of started ball rolling in the Easter of 2020. And we got Bella and Ferdia on board to join the team, and we've been going strong ever since.
As soon as Lucy approached me with the idea for the society, I just knew that I had to be involved, because I just don't think we have anything else like it at the university, and I just really want to be part of such an inclusive and open space where literally anyone can get involved and there's no auditions. I just think that is so important right now for this university.
Yeah, I was similar. I think I messaged Lucy being like, I'm interested, before she'd even decided it was definitely happening, because I just really knew I wanted to be part of it. And I think there's definitely a space for the low pressured atmosphere that we want, and there's no expectation in there, and I think it's just a good thing for anyone who, despite their experience, can just come and have a play around.
It sounds like a really fun society to get involved in, but how does it operate? So like, what are its activities?
So we're currently split into two kind of categories in the society. So on one half, we've got the players, who are student-led facilitation sessions for less experienced actors. So we call it our gentle introduction into acting. So that kind of consists of drama games, improvisation games, and a general playful spirit in which to kind of explore acting. And then on the other half of that, we've got the thespians, who are the people that might have done acting before, maybe done drama A-level, drama GCSE, maybe done shows at university already, and they want to use it as a way to develop their pre-existing acting skills by looking at different practitioners, different exercises, and different ways of working in order to help develop a method for them.
I guess another question that's quite important to think about is how can students currently get involved in the society?
So we've been running our sessions over Zoom, like today, which has been, we've had some really positive feedback actually. It's been really successful. So we have players running, it's on a Friday evening, we have players running for 50 minutes with a 10-minute break to allow for any break for screen fatigue. And then we have thespians running for 50 minutes after. So it's quite short bursts of a session, and we pre-plan the sessions beforehand. Currently, the only two facilitators are Fraser, our treasurer, and myself. And we run these sessions, and we just get involved with everybody. And we also have a chat after the sessions have ended to kind of get any feedback, which Bella is in charge of facilitating as well.
Yeah, we do. We really try to make sure that at the end of sessions, they have the chance to say if there was something they didn't like or didn't enjoy or found was, out of their depth, or if they're not comfortable there and then, they can message us, and we make sure there's a constant conversation going between us and the members, just so we want it to very much be catered to what they want to do, because the whole point of the society is there's no level, there's no kind of like aim or expectation. So the more we can find out what they want from it and what they've enjoyed most, and we can push for that more, the better.
Yeah, we've been releasing a newsletter every week just to like give a little summary of what we're doing in the session, so the members know what they're going into, which has worked really well. And then we've had a lot of people who have started off in plays and also carried through to thespians and done both like back to back, which has actually worked really well as with plays as a sort of warm up for maybe some of the more advanced people and then going into thespians. And it's just been a really nice environment, I think. And we've had a really good set of returning members every week that we're getting to know. So that's been great.
Sounds like you guys are really flourishing as a society. Now, Acting Society is now one of a group of 10 to 11 theatre societies at Exeter. But what makes your society stand out from the rest? What does it offer that the others don't?
So the space that we provide is a very open and encouraging, inclusive space, because what our aim was going into creating the society was to create this cast-like inclusive atmosphere that you do find in a show, but we want to extend all year round. So actually having this unauditioned space for people to practice that acting that they can keep returning to, and also this kind of low commitment, safe space that we're trying to cultivate as well, we think is unique as a society, especially because the society has been founded on the principle of providing a gap in the market for the 200 people that weren't able to take part in the first term of 2019. So we feel that Acting Society was very much filling a gap for those people and creating that space. And I think that's why Theatre Exeter as a whole accepted us so readily as well, so that we were able to help cultivate the community in that way as a whole for Theatre Exeter as well.
I think we've also got, oh, sorry.
It's okay, you go.
Okay. I think we've also got like that flexibility that isn't always possible with other societies, because we're not trying to we're not working towards anything in particular. It means we can be that society that sort of receives people if and when they want to join us. They can stick to it as much as they want, or they can come back after a few weeks break. There's no expectation to be there every week, and I think there's no other society in Theatre Exeter that quite does that. So yeah, I think we've just got a little like selling point there almost, because there's no sort of like once you're in for good and you have to be there. It's very much if and when you want to join us.
Yeah, we, I believe, are one of two performance societies that are on audition, the other one being Opera Society, and we are the only unauditioned performance society that doesn't have the pressure of a show. So it's literally just there to develop skills, which I just think is such a great opportunity for anyone. Just if they're feeling like they've got a bit of extra time and they're like, oh, you know what, maybe I'll just go and work on my acting for a bit, they can just come along, and like we can see them every week, we can never see them again, that doesn't matter, it's just there for everyone. And I'm really excited about it, and I just think it's such a great thing to add to the theatre society community.
Now, obviously we've entered this year with a problematic case of COVID-19, but how has the pandemic in particular impacted your society?
So, of course, we've been running our Zoom sessions. So in an ideal world, we'd have been able to start with our in-person sessions. I think additionally that we've actually possibly had a bit more of an intake than we might have done if the other shows had not been able to go ahead in first term, for example, because people have wanted to have the opportunity to actually act and to create the community online. So it's had its pros and cons. I think that we've been able to very successfully adapt to be able to be on Zoom. I think that it's been working out quite well, and we've had the feedback that from members that they don't feel like they're necessarily on Zoom, that they feel like we're trying to recreate that environment really well and really effectively, which is really lovely to hear. But we also want to be able to cultivate the community, especially for the first years that might be struggling at the moment. I think that Bella can probably add more onto that, but we wanted to create that safe space and a community that outside of their halls of residence as well, which they must be struggling with.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting that we as a society started off online, because it's sort of like we've made that online community before even having the in-person one, which is almost, for some people it's easier, but a lot of people find that being on Zoom is more pressure and like a more anxious environment to be in, which is why we're kind of regularly checking in and asking for feedback, because we want to know that it feels, because it can feel very exposing. The things we're doing are quite like gentle and we're still trying out new things, but it can sometimes seem for some people a little bit daunting. But yeah, I think we're lucky with what we do, that it can be transferred online that easily. And I think, because we're not trying to put anything together, it's always about exploring and developing, and there's no sort of like worry about getting something formed, that it kind of works well and it makes it more playful and fun. And I think the improvising element of it is fun, because if things go wrong on Zoom, we can sort of just go with it and incorporate mistakes into what we do. And we very much have this motto of like, we're messing up alongside the members. So because it's on Zoom and it's a new environment with COVID and everything for all of us, it doesn't matter what goes wrong, because we're just experimenting and we're doing it as well. So hopefully that makes our members feel at ease, considering how different the space is that we're doing it in.
Yeah, I found that I really struggle with like doing things online and lose my focus so quickly. But I've just found sitting into these sessions, like it flies by, like 2 hours goes in no time at all, because you are just getting up on your feet and you do feel like you're in the room with everyone else. And also what's nice about the Zoom aspect is that if you feel like uncomfortable doing something in front of everyone, you can always just turn your camera off. So there's like levels of participation that you can still get, even though it's like in a virtual setting as opposed to a real life setting.
Yeah. Sounds like you guys have really adapted to like the problem that we have at the moment. But what would you say is the society's hopes for going into this year? What are its plans to like approach it?
So at the moment, we've been planning various scenarios depending on what government guidelines and university guidelines will allow. But I think for the moment, we've been sticking to our Zoom sessions, especially with the positive feedback that we've received. We're planning on continuing those throughout the year for as long as we have to. But the hope is that we'll be able to continue with some in-person sessions, perhaps with some first come, first served bookable tickets to be able to access the spaces. And we might be using recording equipment potentially to be able to record the sessions, so that people that might be self-isolating could also take part at home if they want to. So kind of using a blended approach that we've taken, inspired by the drama department at the university, in addition to what we have at our disposal. So we're very much trying to take a flexible, adaptable approach. And we've also got some similar kind of ideas for some socials planned as well.
Yeah, I think just inclusivity is at the forefront of our plans. So just making sure that whatever we are trying to do is it's available to the biggest audiences possible, because we would hate to switch to in-person too early and maybe just limit the experience of our members. We just want to make sure that everyone who wants to get involved can get involved, no matter the situation with the government.
I think also, while we're still online, we're doing things like we're looking into getting more facilitators to like create a bigger variety of sort of what our sessions are on. And so particular people will come in and do something on a particular speciality, or it's just so that our members, while we're not in person, can still have a very diverse range of things that we're exploring. So hopefully that would transfer in person as well. But while we're still online, it's just about keeping it sort of new and fun and exciting.
Now, if each of you could give a piece of advice to the freshers or the returning students who are riddled with the anxiety and the nerves about how this year is going to go thanks to the pandemic, what would you say to them to help reassure them?
Ella, do you want to go first on that one?
Yeah, I'm happy to. I think I've said this from the start. I think like be kinder to yourself than you think you should be. So like I think there's still a pressure, whether you're a fresher in this climate or you're a fresher anyway, to jump into everything. But there's no expectation to be ready to do that, particularly in this situation. So I think it's about doing as much or as little as you feel comfortable with doing. If you know that something is going to make you feel uncomfortable or anxious, but you feel that you just kind of have to do it because it's what you should be doing, then it's probably not the time. And there is no rush with these things. This is not a normal situation. how many times have people said that in the last 3 months? It's not. And I think we just all need to like take the pressure off ourselves. And for freshers, it's very unusual and no one's had this before. So there's no right way to do it. So I think really my main advice would be just, you know, don't expect too much of yourself too quickly.
Yeah, leading on from what Bella said, I think something that I've noticed recently is just making sure that I listen to what my body needs. So if my body's saying like, oh, you need some like fruit today, then making sure I do that. Or just like I need a rest day, then like making sure I take that time to have that rest. Because especially like going into university and especially after lockdown, it's all of a sudden like, so many things going on. Just making sure that you still have the time you need to look after yourself mentally and physically instead of just rushing into everything.
Kind of in addition to that as well, with that kind of theme, taking computer screen breaks as well regularly throughout the day, especially if you're self-isolating. Take yourself off that screen and give your eyes a break and your brain a break, because something that the drama academics have said to me lately is that mentally putting in the effort mentally as an academic is just as exhausting as physical activity. And especially over a screen, the amount of concentration that you're using every day to channel your energy and your attention for that long in such a focused way is exhausting. So making sure that you give yourself that correct amount of break, and you also, be kind to yourself and take the pressure off yourself as well. It's okay. And also not to overcommit too much, I think, is quite important as well. I think that still applies. Although things might not seem that they're going on as much, there's still a lot of opportunity available, but not to overload yourself either. I think, that's important.
Thank you, all three of you. And I really hope that the students watching this do take on that advice. And on that note, our interview has come to an end. Thank you so much to Lucy, Bella and Claudia for joining me in this interview in conversation with Exeter University Acting Society. I'm Claudia McGettigan. I was your host for this Newsbite, and this has been XTV Newsbites. Thank you all for joining. Bye.